Welcome back to the show, everybody. We got big news for you this morning. Macro Investor tells us there's trouble coming. We got massive news for Flare Networks this morning. And CFTC gets a crypto budget. Congressman and Bitcoin maxis coming for Chris Larson and Ripple and XRP. And I believe we're going to show you evidence clearly of how all of this is going to shake out. Shots fired. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen. Everything we're talking about here today, it's March 30th, 2022. Good morning, everyone. $2.142 trillion market cap. We're off by 1.4%, but we see more money in the market, that's for sure. Right now, Bitcoin, $47,281 plus, and we see Ethereum at $3,400 plus. XRP is at 86 cents this morning. Take a look at the range of price. Right now, 85 cents on the bottom, 88 cents on the top. We'll keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, Glint Pay. I just topped off my Glint Pay card. That's right. You can have a debit card to be able to use and acquire on your mobile app to spend gold, acquire gold. You can save, send, and spend with gold or dollars if you'd like as well. But what I love about this is that it really is the gold alternative to the banking system, and that's what I love. Make sure you check the video out or the links underneath the video for this. This has really been getting incredible response from everybody. And yes, you can take physical delivery of the gold as well if you'd like. Take a look right here. Robert Kiyosaki, macro investor here, warns the U.S. dollar is about to implode. He's not the only one. We've covered several people who are telling us that there is a day of reckoning coming for the U.S. dollar and the economy globally. And he is advising to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. I'm not. I'm telling you, I don't give financial advice. And I don't think he would be doing it either. But nevertheless, that's what he says. What the reminder for me is here is that this is why I tell you about Glint and me acquiring gold, because I want to diversify. I'm also doing it with other things as well, and you guys know that. And I feel like, as much as I love the exposure to this high risk, volatile, emerging digital asset market, I want to make sure that I'm also building other areas that are completely separate to this digital asset space so I can feel good about what my portfolio looks like. Take a look right here. More great news coming from Flare Networks here. The coming layer 1 that is built to safely connect all blockchains has announced the launch of its state connector on its Canary network, Songbird. Check this out really quickly, just so you get an idea. By utilizing the state connector, decentralized applications can be created that react to real-world events such as bank transactions, insurance claims, sports outcomes, house purchases, or educational attainment. A universal identity system could be created that takes attestation from external systems through the state connector. Holy moly, this is getting big, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't know when it's all going to launch, but I tell you, there is a lot happening on this Flare Networks, and I'm excited to see when it finally gets going. And I'd like to see all the exchanges release our Songbird and our Flare and everything else that we're waiting for. So we'll see what's going on with that, but it looks like great news. This is some more great news right here before we get into the trouble of the day. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of it, and we need to go through it. But right here, we see QNB Group unveiled new innovative payment solutions as a part of its payment ecosystem and strategy for cross-border payments. Wait for it. With Ripple. Yeah, being the first to market through RippleNet. It says right here that they talk about cross-border payments with RippleNet in this Smart City Expo in Doha. And this is really, really, really proving out for me what we all have known for so very long. QNB initially launched Ripple's global financial network technology, RippleNet, with QNB Finans Bank and in Turkey as a part of the group rollout, with plans to expand to other key remittance corridors to other large countries in the near future. We are witnessing a rollout, ladies and gentlemen. That's what all of this is. I encourage you to see it that way. We are extremely delighted to announce the introduce the innovative payment capabilities in a growing digital market with increasing adoption of advanced payments technology such as Ripple's cross-border funds transfer technology and QR Pay. That is what's going on around the world. And this is in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong exchange HKEX Tuesday revealed plans to launch Diamond, a trading platform to pilot digital assets in 2022. It is not yet said which or when which digital assets will be represented on that platform. But they also say it is built, the Diamond platform, on blockchain and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how that rolls out with smart contracts and beyond. So Susan Friedman, the head of public policy, very quickly here for Ripple, she writes here, while we don't agree with everything the EU policymakers are advocating for, the proposed revision to the transfer of funds regulation being a prime example, they're certainly moving faster to set regulatory guardrails for crypto assets than their U.S. counterparts, which is not surprising. But we do know the executive order has been issued, and there should be 90 whatever, 120 days, something of that nature, and they'll all report back. And I expect to see the Treasury, out of all of them, really put out some regulations towards stablecoins. And keep a lookout for XRP and XLM to potentially fall in that kind of a designation at some point. She goes on to say, the markets and crypto asset regulation, which creates a harmonized legal framework for crypto assets in the EU, is likely to pass by the end of 2022 and go into force by 2023. By comparison, the U.S. will just be completing the reports called for in the recent Biden executive order. Serious consideration of the legislative proposals that have been put forth in Congress is the best way to ensure the U.S. does not fall behind in the crypto asset space and remains competitive with the EU, as noted in her recent letter with the Financial Times, which I'm not going to read to you, but it's very good. And it's pretty much highlighting what she's surmising here. So, here's the point to this. The point really being here is that, Congress is the best way to ensure the U.S. does not fall behind in the crypto asset space and the race that is on with the innovation. But you know what? I think that's where the Treasury comes in, because if this is money, then the Treasury is going to weigh in on it before Congress passes legislation for the entire digital asset space. That way, whatever it is that is revered to be virtual currencies will fall under the purview of the Treasury. That's my 2 cents on that one. We're going to stay tuned. If I'm wrong, I'll make the video. But Digital Pound Foundation highlights very quickly here that last week Bank of Japan announced that they will be moving into phase 2, its CBDC development in April, which includes the use of test environment that was developed in phase 1. We'll keep you posted. CFTC is moving to expand authority to regulate crypto for less than a 10% budget increase. Now, this is a lot different than the $100 million that Rostin Benham originally asked for, but I still have to wonder if they're going to use some of that budget for a megaphone and tell Gary Gensler to sit down. But we're not done yet, because it really starts heating up right here. Chris Larson came out late last year with the op-ed encouraging Bitcoin to move from proof of work to proof of stake. Not Ripple, Chris Larson. Now, with that being said, it has led him to quite a bit of attacks, because yesterday or the day before, it's all getting away from me, but nevertheless, over the last couple of days here, we know Chris has come out again and highlighted that point that Bitcoin needs to move away from proof of work. And he has said and stressed that he holds Bitcoin and believes in Bitcoin long term, but because of the energy consumption, they need to make that difficult choice to move off of proof of work. Because look, let's face facts here. Ethereum's already trying to get the job done. They realize proof of work does not work long term. It's not a viable solution for the future. But this has led to countless attacks now. And I mean from congressmen to actual Bitcoin maxis like this guy, Nick Carter, right here. He says, we're dealing with some extremely mendacious, nasty people. Wow. Nick broke out his dictionary for this one. Yeah. And mendacious meaning he's calling him a liar is what he's calling Chris Larson here. But you know what? Chris Larson responds here, and it's right down in here somewhere. Let me find this for you very quickly here. 1 second. And as the Bitcoiners scoff at Chris Larson over his suggestion to move off of proof of work, Chris responds to Nick Carter and says, Nick, seems like you have a lot of issues with what I'm advocating here for Bitcoin to continue to succeed and become carbon neutral. We've been in meetings together in the past, and when I spoke up, you didn't really have much to say then. He goes on to say here that happy to have a civil conversation with you about this subject. I'm sure there are at least a few things we agree on, even if there's a lot we disagree on. Regardless, please leave Ripple out of this. They are not involved. So he's making it very clear again that this isn't Ripple. This is Chris Larson here saying these things. And I tell you, I triple dog dare Nick Carter to sit down with Chris Larson. I bet it doesn't happen. But wait, there's more. While all of this is going on, more than half of Americans are convinced that cryptocurrency is the future of finance. This is according to a new survey conducted by one poll commissioned by Starkware. Let me say this, because this is why I'm showing this. We're coming to a head, ladies and gentlemen. And this whole crypto infighting and all of this is because at some point, and I believe before you get out of this video today, you're about to find out how all of this is going to shake out. But let's take a look, because the attacks didn't stop. I want to remind you before we look at them, Joseph Grumfrest told us, and SEC, if Ether is to be allowed to be traded freely in the markets, so too must XRP. And if XRP is to be subject to restrictions, so should too Ether. And he goes on to say that, and that you're not really having any real competitive rationalized thought going on here, because what he's saying is any other result creates a competitive imbalance and cannot be rationalized with the reference to fair enforcement of the federal securities laws. Hence, ETHgate, free pass, right? Then we have Warren Davidson, who says, I've been working for years to provide legal clarity, including to the SEC for all digital assets, and will continue working. In Congress, the majority party sets the agenda for every hearing and chooses 100% of the bills for votes. Vigorous oversight coming soon. Well, bring it on, because you know what? That vigorous oversight should be, Warren, it should be you calling for an investigation, my friend, of ETHgate, right? And you've been working for legal clarity for years for digital assets, but refuse to respond to take action or call for an investigation into the obvious obfuscation to U.S. securities laws from ETHgate. This is nothing more than political posturing, and it's insulting. Warren Davidson will be preparing for, I'm sure, a re-election here coming in November. I'm sure his term comes up, as well as many others. I tell you, the best thing to do is to vote these two-faced cowards out. And I call him a coward, and I'd do it to his face if he'd like. Because the reality is he refuses to answer to the video of Joseph Lubin teaching investors how to disguise their identities and create multiple fake accounts, Warren. You coward. You want to show us how hard you're working for legal clarity? Then show us by standing up and calling out Ethereum and the SEC and demanding a congressional investigation today. That's the best way to show us how long and hard you've been working for legal clarity. But that isn't what we get. But maybe this guy could help Warren out, because this guy knows, and he's the only congressman that I know has publicly stated XRP is not a security. Maybe he could sit down with Warren and help him understand that XRP is not a security, and to represent the people and not special interest while serving. in the Congress. Check it out.
Brad, thank you so much. It's funny. You said we've moved on past Silk Road. Yeah, it's a long time ago, but there's a lot of members of Congress that still think of this in terms of Silk Road. Yeah. And when you say over 2 years, first off, my position's very clear. XRP is not a security, all right? But even if you want to do this, you want to have this discussion, the SEC, my frustration, as you probably have heard very directly, you brought up in a very nice way. Maybe you should be doing this job and I should be doing that one, because I'm not going to be so nice. Over 2 years is not only a problem, it is absolutely unacceptable. Brad, thank you.
There you have it right there. Nobody says it better than Tom Emmer, and they both work in the House. Maybe they could go down the hall and meet with one another, and he could set Warren straight about the inconsistencies he has in this really difficult work he's doing to make legal clarity, while he really fights for Bitcoin and Ethereum and tries to shove everything else down to the floor. Now, later today, we are going to see Anthony Pompliano interview Chris Larson because of all of this talk about moving from proof of work to proof of stake or some other viable means for Bitcoin to have a very, very successful long-term future. I am going to show you what I believe happens with Bitcoin and many, many other protocols before we get out of here in just a second here. But this right here is Warren Davidson again, really responding to Anthony Pompliano, saying the market clearly gives Bitcoin a premium valuation. Why does, and he's talking about Chris Larson here, 12.921 proposals seek to effectively buy 51% of the existing hash rate by collectively bribing the miners? What's wrong with simply competing via XRP or new fork altcoin? I'll tell you what's wrong with it, Warren. It's hard to compete when Bitcoin and Ethereum have been given a free pass, and congressmen like yourself continue to ignore the facts of what is actually taking place. You let XRP have the same regulatory luxury that your blind eyes and others provide, and you will see very quickly what a winner looks like. Take a look at this, because Jake Chervinsky now from Blockchain Association really responding indirectly to Chris Larson's comment about moving from proof of work. Jake Chervinsky says Bitcoin will always use proof of work. End of story. Well, I got news for you, Jake. I think being in law is probably right where you need to be, my friend, because you certainly couldn't run a company. Because that kind of jackass statement falls just like this does. This is just flat out intellectually short-sighted, and I'm being very polite here. Think of this for a moment. Steve Jobs, back in the day, comes out and says, this is an iPhone, and we're never upgrading it. You want to know what happens to this space? And this is what they're all probably pissed off about. I'll tell you what happens to this space. Matter of fact, let Ashish Burla tell you.
And we become experts on handling all sorts of things. Like, what happens if a crypto exchange goes down?
What happens?
We can't tell our customers that, hey, you can't, send cross-border payments today. I wouldn't have a job. And just one of our customers that we announced this morning, CoinMe, if they're sourcing a Bitcoin transaction for one of their ATMs, they can't just tell their customer it's down. So we built that redundancy by integrating into a number of different exchanges around the world. If there's not enough liquidity, we know how to bring liquidity to the market.
They know how to bring liquidity to market because they built that redundancy into many exchanges around the world. And if someone needs a Bitcoin transaction, you can go to Ripple Liquidity Hub and get it sourced through the XRP ledger that is tapped into multiple exchanges around the world and eventually will become the decentralized exchange for the world, because you're going to see everyone tap into it. Think of something else for a moment here. Banks are the next to enter crypto. We already know this. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they're all in, right? It's only going to get bigger. And they're going to offer crypto to their customers. Some are already doing it. You think they're going to tap into each individual protocol to make that happen? It isn't going to happen. They're going to tap into a network just like Ripple Liquidity Hub. And that's why in this, I tell you, as I've said before, I even had a YouTube channel, everything runs on the XRP ledger. Just like every website is built on HTTP, right? Just like every email moves across SMTP protocol. That's what we're talking about here. And I really believe Chris Larson is trying to move towards a solution for Bitcoin so it doesn't get left behind because of the energy consumption. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. Check out all the links under the video. Great products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.